These songs that we've been singing and experiencing are for me, they're very inspiring for this topic of temperance. Our founder of the Sunburst, Norman Paulson, has written about this virtue. It's a virtue. And he talks about the world as it is now and the projection that he has for the future. Through his cosmic conscious experience as a young man, he was given the tremendous insight to feel the presence of God, what he's called I am that I am, and also the spark of that divine spirit within us called the pure self. He was given to understand and to realize that we are placed here as sons and daughters to allow that great spirit, I am that I am, to come into us fully and to create a heaven right here on this earth. And that the only purpose of this creation is to have the sons and daughters of the Most High be in and experience this beautiful creation that they have manifested and work through our eyes, hands, minds, our five senses to create wonderful structures and to create an abundance. We realize that the true nature of the divine spirit is a divine farmer caring for his gardens throughout this vast, boundless immensity of galaxies beyond measure, planets beyond comprehension. One must have three areas of life in balance, in moderation. Those are the physical, mental, and spiritual realms. To receive from life, one must give to life, not destroy through greed and selfishness. We have a task in front of us to be these caretakers. For we realize that to destroy and pollute the earth is to destroy God's future on this planet. God's future here. So we have a responsibility to our planet and to our children and to our children's children going forward to care for this earth garden, to water but not to flood, to weed, to allow new plants to grow. There are blueprints that have been given to us by our spiritual teachers. These are like road maps that we can follow to open us up, to open our hearts up to that divine presence, that divine joy, which permeates the whole creation. In the Sunburst teachings, there are 8 paths. And these 8 paths form the basis of allowing us to receive virtue. In this month of January, we are in the vibration or energy of temperance. Paramahansa Yogananda, whom Norm was a direct disciple of, talked about the relationship between our inner realization and the outward manifestation that we can see within our senses. Our physical sun, he understood, contains 12 dimensions or 12 vibrations of energy, which corresponds to the 12 astrological signs. So as the earth moves around the sun, approximately every month it moves into one of these vibrations. Think of a spectrum. If you look at the colors of a spectrum, there's no hard division, but they kind of they blend into each other. So as we slip into a new vibration, our inner awareness can become attuned to each vibration. So for this past several weeks, I've been reflecting about temperance and its astrological sign of Capricorn, and feeling in my life some of the instruction and some of the lessons that have to do with temperance. And I've become acutely aware of extremes, going from one extreme to another, and how difficult it is to navigate this life in a center place. But the 8 paths are wonderful tools to help us navigate and sail our soul ship, as Norm would say, through this life. Meditation is one of the eightfold paths, one of the paths. And for many years I've been meditating, and I was given the tool of meditation, the Kriya meditation, about a little over 50 years ago. And I try to practice it morning and evening. And when I first started practicing it, I started using these beads, which are called mala beads. And Norm was using those beads when he had his cosmic conscious experience. And leading up to that experience, he was doing 108 circulations, we call circulations of the light, up and down his spine. And then he had his wonderful experience where he expanded outwards and saw the creation like a little bubble inside his extended life force, his extended body of life force. And he realized that divine consciousness, divine spirit, and his spirit were one. So I proceeded to do 108 circulations, as hard as I could, morning and evening. And years went by. I had worn out probably 3 of these 108 mala beads doing my circulations. And then I realized, or someone might have told me, that meditation will only take you so far. It will take you to the door, but you can't go through it. And then Norm was emphasizing from his teacher, Yogananda, that you have to get devotion and love for God. So in the wisdom of temperance, devotion and love and discipline and practicing a tool have to be balanced. And that is the essence of temperance, the middle way. Norm had said to us once, he said, Divine Spirit knows the preparation you've made with, practicing the meditation. But you have to show Spirit that you really mean business. You really have to, cry and pray, and Yogananda says almost literally roll on the ground, that you want God to come into you, and that intensity has to be 100%. And then he said also that meditation will increase that devotion. So you need to practice that tool with devotion and love, and then it will open up for you. So as I sat down and I did a couple circulations. This is actually really early in my practice. I started to see this light, or like a window in front of my gaze as my eyes were closed, and I had one thought. It was this must be the window through which I can see the great inner sun in meditation. And all of a sudden, just like a blink of an eye, I was looking out through the top of my head, and whatever I was infinitely small. I wasn't conscious of the body. I was conscious of just being an infinitesimal point within my head, in the center, which is the pituitary, the center of my skull, and looking out at this beautiful sun. And then I heard this energy say, "My son, I'm always here, I'm always near." And just like that, I was back in the room in my consciousness, and I realized that people were still coming in the room. The meditation really hadn't even begun. So I carry that with me, and I realized that you can practice meditation, you can do the tool, but you never know when that connection will happen. You never know when something will come onto you, that experience or an experience which gives you the energy, the devotion to go forward with your experience. The 12 virtues are cosmic energies which emanate from that first creation of light, which hovers above the crowns of our heads. And that light can be as big as it likes or as small as it likes. And that light contains all those brothers and sisters, all those souls who have gone forth in that consciousness. Norm talks about there's various names for that consciousness, and one of the names is Christ consciousness. And when we think of Christ consciousness, of course we think of Jesus, who achieved that consciousness, and he became one with that light. As they saw on the Mount of Transfiguration, Jesus' face seemed to shine like the sun. That means the sun of that inner sun had merged and become at the center of that place within his head. So that he became Christed, or became that sun. And all the things he said, I and my Father are one. And that's what confounded the people of his time, because he was speaking about that consciousness which he had become, and not so much the physical understanding which the Pharisees and the Romans had. So I'd like to read something from Sacred Science, which Norm had written. Norm was a person who was very humble, and like Yogananda, he was very playful at times. He was like a little child, but then, like Yogananda, he could really speak very forcefully. And we find that pattern with all those great souls. They can be very childlike and gentle, but when they want to make a point, they can become very forceful. So Norm always liked the time period of the knights and of Excalibur and the story of Arthur and the sword. And he wrote this poem during an experience, or when he was writing his book Sacred Science. And I'd like to read from it. The following is a poem written by Norman Paulson about temperance. In the poem, Christ the King means self-realization, cosmic or Christ consciousness. Thoughts spring forth like armies and orbit around the castle of my soul. They continuously try to breach the walls and give birth to desires for objects and events. In the endless parade of images, O Temperance, deliver me from their alluring presentations that beckon to me through the five senses. I enlist you, Temperance, to become the captain of my actions. Yes, I call forth from deep within my castle, riding on your mount of deliverance. You, among all the 12 Knights of Virtue, strengthen my will to decline the beckoning allure of overindulgence. You and the other Knights of Virtue present me with the sixth sense, the winning power and the glory of Christ the King, the rightful ruler of all desires and actions. Together, with the aid of all the Knights of Virtue, we will defeat the encircling army of thought forms with your sword, O Temperance. My King, in you all my desires are fulfilled. As we go into our meditation silence, let us sit upright. Sit upright, and if you're sitting in a chair, sit so that your back is not resting on the chair, and try to keep your knees below your hips so that you have a slight lumbar curve, and have your shoulders relaxed and back, and your neck soft. You can close your eyes or open them just slightly to see light through the lower part. I'd like to just start with a simple breathing exercise which will help us calm. And then from the breathing exercises, those that have a tool can go into their practice. Yogananda used a 4-part breathing exercise which he used to calm us and center. And he used a count of 6. So you inhale to a count of 6, and then you hold, but you just hold the breath. You don't tighten or anything. You're just really relaxed to a count of 6. And then you exhale to a count of 6. And then you relax to a count of 6. And then you inhale to a count of 6. And so we'll do that 10 times, and then we'll go into our period of meditation. The breath of life is that cosmic energy which sustains all creation. Astronomers can only experience with the five senses about 5% of the quality of the universe. The other 95% is dark matter and dark energy. What is the essence of that dark energy? It's the presence of the Divine Spirit. It sustains the other 5%, the countless stars and galaxies, the countless life forms, and you and I. Let us be the divine caretakers of this creation. Let us feel the immense joy that permeates all around us. Dear Spirit, open our hearts so we can feel your divine love. For we know that this love springs forth from your great Son. And the essence of that love is virtue, your divine personality. As we go forth into this day, we thank you for this life and for giving us these teachings from your illumined souls, which have gone before us and who are with us now. We love you so much. Amen.
I set my sail on the sea of light in hopes of finding the bright sun, in hopes of finding thee, in hopes of finding the bright sun upon the other shore. Oh, space and time. The breathless light calls to eternity, my soul calls to eternity.